Yesterday would have been Charlie Kirk's 32nd birthday. I didn't mention it in the history lesson because that's for more deserving figures. So I used that time to mention that yesterday should have been George Floyd's 52nd birthday as well. Anyway, Charlie Kirk's birthday is being treated as a future national holiday by many on the political right, and it led to acrimony in the legislature on Tuesday as Republicans sought to honor the right-wing provocateur, but they objected to a full telling of Charlie Kirk's life story and his positions espousing bigotry, misogyny, and more, which is not a surprise that the political right does not like it when you give a full retelling of history. As reported by Molly Beck and Jesse O'Point in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, the resolution praised Kirk's unwavering conviction to advancing the timeless principles of faith, liberty, and truth, most notably through his founding of Turning Point USA, which boldly equipped and inspired a generation of young Americans to defend the values that sustain our nation. Really? What values would those be? I mean, do we really need to run again through the virtual roll call of racism that he gave us, among so many other nuggets? It's no wonder then that State Senator LaTonya Johnson of Milwaukee wanted to make sure the record also showed that Kirk said things like how certain prominent Democratic women, quote, do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously, end quote. Well, how did Republican Chris Kapenga of Delafield respond? Did he want to put any kind of asterisk on Kirk's halo by recognizing that? No. He called LaTonya Johnson racist. He said Johnson's criticism of Kirk was ignorance, racism, and hatred personified, he said to LaTonya Johnson, a black woman from Milwaukee. Because that's what we have in this country right now. Whiny white people who believe that calling out racism makes that person the racist. Then there was Democratic Senator Chris Larson, who was in the middle of recounting an incident during which an Elkhorn school principal was falsely tied to criticism of Kirk, but Senate President Mary Felskowski cut his microphone. Over in the Assembly, Republican Representative Nate Gustafson of Neenah praised Charlie Kirk as a figure young people looked up to, as kind of a figurehead that really brought us back to a spot of civility in society. Civility. You know who really hates it when you call out oppression? The ones doing the oppression, because you're disrupting their civility. Why can't the rest of you people just leave alone the people in positions of power who sneer at DEI and claim that it's a racist way to give jobs to minorities when in fact DEI is there so that qualified minority candidates don't get passed over for lesser qualified but white well-connected lackeys like a Pete Hegseth or a J.D. Vance or a Sean Duffy. In the course of the debate, there was an effort to call out violence of any type, especially political violence from the right or the left. But let's be clear about something, that while Charlie Kirk and Minnesota Representative Melissa Hortman were both victims of deadly political violence and both were name-checked during the discussion, the comparison ends there. If you're discussing Charlie Kirk and praising him, keep Melissa Hortman's name out of your mouth. One tried to make the world a better place for all, while the other is getting outsized glory for a life dedicated to white, male-dominated Christian nationalism, the cancer that has infected American democracy and, frankly, American society. It is a wedge driven less by bigots and more by an upper class that has found a perfect tool for keeping America's middle class from focusing on how much they're getting screwed by the upper crust. Because the greedy and the gullible have teamed up to use race and gender and sexual preference and certain other human vulnerabilities as diversions. And it's working. Hopefully for not much longer, but in the here and now, it's been working. It's been the recipe to electoral success for people pursuing power. Charlie Kirk is no more deserving of recognition from Wisconsin lawmakers, as he is the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which was further tarnished in its being awarded to Charlie Kirk yesterday by President Trump. You know what's really the proper way to note the legacy of Charlie Kirk? I would point you to a story in Politico yesterday. The headline was, "I love Hitler. Leaked messages expose young Republicans' racist chat. Thousands of private messages reveal young GOP leaders joking about gas chambers, slavery, and rape." Honestly, please go read the story. It's in Politico, politico.com. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk would have agreed with everything that these morally depraved little jerks said when they thought no one would read their messages, but I am saying that every one of those young leaders in those trashy text chains thought Charlie Kirk was an inspiration. So please just keep all of this in mind when someone in your hometown invariably suggests that a local school be renamed in honor of Charlie Kirk. Our next generation of young leaders deserves better than what took place around this country on Tuesday.